Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue à notre deuxième histoire de succès à la préparation FIDE. Alors, FIDE Success Stories. Et aujourd'hui, nous accueillons Michael Moore qui a passé son examen FIDE de niveau A1 le 21 mai 2021. Il nous a contactés, il nous a trouvés alors sur les réseaux sociaux. C'est sa femme qui a entendu parler de nous et il a passé son examen FIDE pour renouveler son permis B. Comme vous le savez, les prérequis pour pouvoir rester en Suisse, pour pouvoir renouveler ou obtenir un permis de travail ou encore la naturalisation suisse, tout ça, ça a changé en janvier 2019 et justement, c'est la raison pour laquelle Michael nous a contactés parce qu'il devait passer son examen FIDE de niveau A1. Alors, on est vraiment ravis qu'il soit avec nous. Bonjour Michael, vous allez bien?
Bonjour, je suis... pardon, bonjour.
Bonjour, je vais bien. Oui, je vais bien.
Bien. Et vous?
Oui, très bien également. Merci beaucoup pour votre temps aujourd'hui, Michael. Vraiment, c'est un plaisir. Ça fait déjà un petit moment. It's been a little while. Hein? That was in May, la dernière fois. Alors, est-ce que vous pourriez vous présenter, Michael, s'il vous plaît?
OK. Je m'appelle Michael Moore. Je suis américain. Je suis arrivé en Suisse le 5 juillet 2017 du Japon.
Ah oui, directement de Kobe au Japon.
Kobe.
Génial.
J'habite ici depuis 5 ans.
Et puis, qu'est-ce que vous faites comme travail, Michael?
J'ai travaillé comme ingénieur en systèmes informatiques pendant 31 ans.
Ah oui, ingénieur en système informatique pendant 31 ans. Et maintenant, qu'est-ce que vous faites de votre temps?
Je suis instructeur de plongée sous-marine et cuisinier et pâtissier vegan.
Végan. Et j'ai vu, vous avez un site Instagram, un profil Instagram qu'on va partager. Hein? Ça s'appelle 42 Michael Moore. C'est bien ça?
Or 42 underscore vegan underscore cuisine.
Ah, parfait. On va partager alors. 42 underscore vegan underscore cuisine. Super, très bien. Et ça m'a l'air délicieux. Everything looks absolutely delicious. Vraiment.
It is.
Et instructeur de plongée sous-marine, c'est dans le lac Léman? Vous faites ça dans le lac Léman?
No. J'ai deux combinaisons étanches, mais ne plongez pas lac Léman.
Non, pas dans le lac Léman. En vacances, alors, vous plongez dans l'eau chaude.
Oui. Sous glace.
Ah oui, sous la glace.
Sous la glace. Mais ici, pas
ici. Non, ça n'est pas possible ici. Merci beaucoup pour cette présentation. Thank you so much. We're going to switch to English now because we're going to talk about your experience. No problem. I just wanted to highlight how brave we often have to be when we speak a foreign language because it takes, a lot of our own confidence. We don't always feel comfortable, especially with the pronunciation. I was discussing this with Michael before. I'm from Montreal in Canada, and as a native French speaker, there are plenty of pronunciation issues I might have myself, even though my mother tongue is French, because the pronunciation is different here. So I was just telling Michael that here it took me a while. I was always saying migros properly, but I would say globu, and people say globus here. So, even for the native speakers, we make pronunciation mistakes. So well done to you, Michael. I have my next question. Why did you have to pass the FIDE exam? Can you tell me more about it?
My wife is employed in Switzerland, but I am not. And to renew my Permis B, they changed the laws, and so I had to actually demonstrate proficiency in French or in the language of the canton. So, I live in Canton de Vaud, so I had to demonstrate in French.
And how was your French at the time? Did you have level A1 at the time? Were you able to get by?
Theoretically, but I guess I'm the typical American that just has no confidence speaking a foreign language. And thankfully, I found, my wife found you because I was completely unprepared for that FIDE. So I thought I mean, I had a paper saying it was A1, but I don't think I would have passed without you.
Was there a reason in particular that you reached out to us? Was it to specifically prepare for the oral part of the exam?
For the whole thing, because they said I had to do oral and the written.
And the written and the comprehension as well. Yes, exactly. And at the time you worked with our Super Prof, Marion, how was it to work with her? How did you feel when you were learning and improving your French with her?
Comfortable, which is very important for when you're learning a language. I felt very comfortable. I've had some teachers in other languages that were not, I did not feel comfortable with them. And she specifically pointed me to specific things for the FIDE.
Yes.
But of course, the FIDE is just demonstrating that you can get by anyway. So she was helping me with the test, but that was helping me to actually talk to bus drivers and train operators. And so it was good.
So the preparation had a positive impact, not only for your FIDE exam, but also for your everyday life, because these were everyday situations and vocabulary and verb tenses that you needed to use anyways in your daily life.
I'm still in present tense, but yes, I tried.
We can move forward with the past and future, but it's true for the FIDE A1, it doesn't require as much verb tenses as it does for the A2 and B1. There's a big step between the two, but for the A1, it's basically introducing yourself and talking a little bit about what you do, more or less in the present tense. That's so true. How did you feel about your FIDE exam before you were with us and after doing the preparation program with us?
Well, before I didn't know what I didn't know. So that's difficult because it's like, I have no idea. Oh, I should be okay, but I'm not real sure. And then once I started with Marion, I was realizing, wow, there's a lot of stuff here that I was not ready for. And so we went through vocabulary lists, scenarios, and what do you say when this happens? And we went extensively into renting an apartment, so is there a bathroom? Is there and so, which just helps in everyday life here anyway.
Absolutely. You could put that, you could use that knowledge in your everyday life. And so you got the idea of the format of the exam, which would you say is vital in order to pass the exam, to know the format to prepare for these typical questions?
I would have been completely lost going in there cold.
Yes.
Completely lost, because they bring you into a room and there's two people there, and they first you have to introduce yourself, and they little chit chat for a while. How comfortable are you? Mm-hmm. And also to calm down your nerves, because you're nervous. Absolutely. And so they're calming you down, and then they show you the picture and you go through that. Then they move you to another room for listening, just listening. And that one was good because on your website you have some listening exercises. So I had gone through those, and listen to them. So I was comfortable with that. And then there was a break for lunch, and then we went to the reading and writing. that was interesting.
So that was quite a long process. You
Yes.
had to be focused for quite a while. And what would you say was most helpful for you in the preparation process that you've done with Prêt à Parler?
The oral and speaking, because I got A2 on my writing. So, you know, I'm more comfortable writing and reading than I am speaking. And French is very difficult to learn for me. My Japanese is still far better than my French. And Japanese is very easy. It's moras, beats. And so it's kind of musical. The French, you know, they drop the letters, and you're not sure when to pronounce it or how to pronounce it. Every word is, and so just speaking with a French speaker, and with COVID, it was so hard to just go out and talk to people because, you know, they were masked up. So and I have been around too many loud noises, guitars and cars and stuff, so that I didn't realize how much I depended on reading lips until everybody had a mask and I couldn't.
And on that matter, Michael, when you did the exam, would the examiner have a mask then?
No,
or they were behind a screen?
They were behind.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. Thank God. So you could still see their face, their facial expressions, their lips moving when they were asking a question.
And when they did the side eye to each other, I'm going, "Oh God, what did I do wrong this time?" But then you know, then they smiled and everything. But you know, they'll give you a side eye.
So would you say that it's possible to prepare for the FIDE A1 by yourself for the written part, the comprehension part? Let's say you find the exam on the internet, but for the oral part, you would recommend having support if you're not there yet, or you're not confident or comfortable enough in French.
I don't think I would have even done well on the written if I hadn't gone through you. Because
so the whole process,
because I didn't know where they were going with this. And, you know, and I looked online and I looked at some YouTube videos, but it's not the same thing as, you know, on your website, you've got the documentation. This is what you need to do. Like you'll get for the writing and reading, fill in the blank kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you were prepared to answer the typical scenario questions, and what you did with us was a kind of a real preparation or of a very similar question. So then when you went for the real thing on the big day, then you felt, oh, I've done this before. I can do this. It's a different question, but I feel comfortable. I know the format. I know how to answer, and I can do this.
And Marion, walk me through one of the reading writing scenarios.
Yeah.
Just like what I saw. So when I saw it, it's like, oh yeah, I knew this, you know, fill in the blanks. And so yeah, that I would probably still be there struggling, just trying to figure out why the question didn't match up to what they had put in there.
Exactly. So you were able to use your time very efficiently because you knew why this format was like that. You were not thrown off by it and losing precious time during the exam because you had prepared for it.
Yes.
Super.
When you go in cold on those things, you know, if you're unprepared, you're not going to, unless you're fluent, you're not going to pass.
No. And sometimes even when you're fluent, we were discussing this with our teachers here. We were saying some of the questions are tricky because of the way they ask the questions. We are not always sure we would pass the exam ourselves because there's a certain way you have to answer the questions. There's a certain way you need to understand their questions as well. And on the other hand, what we're happy about is that there's this specific exam for Switzerland. Before most expats had to do the DELF exam, which is much harder, and it's a different reality, and it's the French version, which is not always about everyday life. So it's a real chance, in fact, that we have that FIDE exam, and the fact that the examiner here in Switzerland really want you to do well. So they give you a bit more time, they're smiling, they're reassuring. Do you want to hear the listening again? So I think they want to make the whole experience as positive as possible so you pass the exam. But
Yes.
the best ways to prepare also for it. Huh?
And one of the other things that I wanted to mention about the writing is we depend so much on technology now to do our writing.
Yeah.
You know, the autocorrects and everything, but they give you a sheet of paper and you have to write everything out. And it was like, at first I was like, how do you spell this? And you know, where's the accent? And I'm certain that they take off something for the wrong accents or the definitely for the misspellings. And so you need to practice writing things out.
Yeah.
And then checking with the autocorrect, but don't depend on the autocorrect because you can't use it in the test.
No, exactly. You need to remember the spelling. That's one key. French is tricky for the spelling, especially. So some people get by the oral part because they are good with remembering the sounds, and others, the tricky part is the written part. So everybody has their own challenges with the various sections of the exam. Can you tell me, Michael, when and where did you pass the FIDE exam? We know when. We know it's the 21st of May, 2021, but where was it that you did the exam?
I used in Lingua,
and that was in Lausanne?
Le Mans. Yeah. It was in Bel Air, just above Lausanne-Flan.
Okay, super. And you felt the examiner there were very nice, and they were there to help you, to support you during the exam.
They were very professional. The contact was interesting because we corresponded, but then she was confused about something. So she called me up and she started speaking French to me, and I wasn't picking up a lot of because some of it was scheduling and it was complicated. She switched this to English and I was like, where are you from?
Wow.
and she goes, I hear that a lot. She goes, everybody thinks I'm American, but I'm Swiss. but she had like an American Northwest part of the country, like Oregon or Washington State accent. I don't know how she got that.
And you know, that's the wonderful thing, because when you do the exam for the DELF in France, it's very rare that someone will speak English to you to help you. And that's the beauty I find about Switzerland. They really make the effort to make you feel comfortable. So that was probably something reassuring for you in the whole experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then all the examiners, very professional, very friendly. Again, they weren't going to give you anything, but they weren't looking to fail you.
Exactly. They wanted you to do well. So they were not putting any sticks in your wheels, let's say, make you fall. Super. And you succeeded. So you got level A1 for the speaking part, for the oral part, and then A2 for the written part.
Yes.
Congratulations again. Félicitations, Michael. We're so
I was pleased with the writing. I kind of stumble speaking anyway. So I knew that was going to be more difficult.
And especially with the stress of the exam, you know, in a class, it's always more relaxed. You have the teacher, you know the person, and in this exam situation, the stress level is much higher. And that's why it's great to choose an examination center where you know the examiners will be, you know, there to almost calm you down and just ask the question in a different way, speak slowly as well. So you got a positive experience. I'm so glad to hear.
It was positive. And there was quite a few people taking the test that day, and from all over the world. It was interesting, you know. It was like a United Nations in the waiting room.
Now that you got your Permis C, your Permis B that you renewed, is that on the cards to get your Permis C in the future and maybe your Swiss naturalization for you, Michael?
I think yes. And so I know I need a lot more work with my French.
And probably for your own business that you're developing as well with the vegan catering, that would also be a way to expand your clientele, to have more French speakers and not only the expat community. That would be something good as well. Huh? What would you like to tell other expats who are hesitating at the moment to take online private lessons with Prêt à Parler?
The whole experience just, it's comfortable and will get you ready. And whether you want to or not, you've got to take the test. If you must take the test, you need to be ready for it. And you can look online, you can look at YouTube, but it's not going to get you ready for these tests. Because once, like when we sat down to do the reading and then the writing, that was rapid fire French. And if you didn't know what they wanted you to do, like where they wanted you to put your name and stuff, you would have difficulties.
Would you say that your investment paid off?
Oh, absolutely.
Investing in the private lessons was a
yes. Yeah.
So would you recommend it to other expats?
Yes, and I have.
You have as well. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
I want to recommend as well. I haven't tried your delicious vegan pastries and specialities, but from what I see on your IG profile, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I can only invite everyone who's watching to look at what Michael is doing. And you make even beautiful croissants that can be stored in the freezer, and then you just put them in the oven, and perfect for parties and your catering as well. So I highly recommend that you check out 42_vegan_cuisine. That's correct?
Yes.
And if you have any questions about what Michael does, you can send him a private message on Instagram. Michael, I will definitely want to try your vegan Reese's cups and your delicious arancini and croissants in the future. I will be in touch. Hey. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your success story with other expats. And I just wish you all the best with this new part now, going towards the Permis B naturalization in the future, but especially focusing on what you love most, cooking vegan food. Merci beaucoup. À très bientôt, Michael.
Merci. Bonne journée.
Bonne journée.